Dole and I believe in a smaller government that gets things done. Mike Ward believes in leaving the current welfare system in the same mess it's been in for 30 years. I believe we have to fix that system and replace welfare with work for. Mike Ward believes the status quo is what this community wants. Mike Ward believes the con game of telling people in Louisville that he supports a real balanced budget and then voting against it in Washington. I believe in a real balanced budget that stops all the talk and all the evasions and balances the budget once and for all. My husband Woody and I are raising 6 children, and we don't want to look back and blame our generation for leaving them with little more than staggering taxes to pay for our national debt. Elections are about the future, and this election will feature straight talk about the future from Bob Dole and from Ann Northup, and more of the carnival con game from Bill Clinton and Mike Ward. In the accounts of his Senate farewell, several historians and congressional scholars said Bob Dole would go down in the books as one of the greatest senators who ever lived.
You're listening to complete coverage of Bob Dole's visit to Louisville on Talk 790 WWKY Louisville.
You know, the historians only got it half right, because when the books are finally written, Bob Dole will go down as one of the greatest presidents that ever lived. It is my privilege to introduce to you the next President of the United States and someone I will be honored to serve with in Washington, Bob Dole.
The former Kansas Senator now takes the podium with Ann Northup. He calls over Elizabeth Dole to the podium as well to get a group picture, a hug. They're applauding. Elizabeth Dole waving to the crowd. Bob Dole as well, ready to take to the podium itself. It's a big day, and now she's presenting with a Louisville Slugger in her hand. Ann Northup holding up the bat, maybe to use against the Democrats. We'll let her take it from here.
Bob Dole, the people of Louisville hope you don't need this during this campaign.
Holding up the Louisville Slugger once again.
But we want to present it to you as a token for your visit and appreciation of your visit from one of the industries here in Louisville, a Louisville Slugger bat.
There he takes it in his hand and reads the inscription on it. Probably has Bob Dole's name on it himself. Of course, Bob Dole not able to use his right hand due to that World War II injury, and so hands it off to his wife and now takes the podium.
Thank you very much.
Bob Dole in Louisville here on Talk 790 WWKY. Exclusive coverage continues from Jefferson Square in downtown. Talk 790 WWKY. Here's Bob Dole.
Thank you very much. Those on my right, not too many on my right, but those on my right, those in the middle, those on my left, and those across the street and upstairs and downstairs. We just had a wonderful ride on the Belle of Louisville, and I want you now to say hello to America's next First Lady, Elizabeth.
Also, Bob Dole, we're glancing towards City Hall with a sort of a scornful look toward Jerry Abramson's office. Some comedy here at Jefferson Square as well.
Elizabeth, as you know, is the greatest asset that I have. And if you watched C-SPAN on Sunday, they had about a 45-minute program on Elizabeth, and I kept saying, well, maybe I'll be mentioned. But I waited and waited and waited. But I think the most disturbing thing was that after she finished speaking, many of the people in the audience says, why aren't you running for president? And she would do a great job as president, don't misunderstand me. And she's done a great job as president of the American Red Cross and in President Reagan's cabinet and President Bush's cabinet. And so I'm very honored to have her with me today. She is from North Carolina, as many of you know, and it's a great place. I also want to be the first to congratulate Ann on her election to Congress. Ann, come on up here a second. Yeah.
Bob Dole calling Ann Northup perhaps a bit prematurely, facing Mike Ward in the fall.
Because when I'm President of the United States, I want a Republican House and a Republican Senate, and I want to be able to work with the Republicans in the House and the Senate. And I want to tell you what a great job Mitch McConnell is doing in the United States Senate. Now, many of you don't know, but Kentucky is one of my home states. When I ran against President Bush in 1988 in the primary, every time I'd get off the plane and say, oh, well, this is President Bush's home state. So we hired a genealogist this time around, and I went back and checked everything, and the reason I can qualify as a Kentuckian is that I was at Camp Breckinridge a long time before many of you were born. And I learned a lot at Camp Breckinridge about duty and honor and country and service and responsibility. I knew that I'd really resigned from the Senate yesterday morning when I tried to reach my office. And there's a recording on the other end. This office is not open today. So I tried the other office, it's Senator Dole's office, and of course I wasn't there anymore. And then the young lady apologized. I said, oh, I mean Senator Fromm's office. She succeeded me. But I want to thank the many people who have supported not me, but us. All of us. Everyone in this audience, whether you agree with me or not, this is America. It's the greatest nation on the face of the earth. We ought to be proud of it. We ought to preserve it. We ought to strengthen it. And we ought to make it better. And I've been saying all over the country, Bob Dole wants to bring people together. If I was able to do anything in the United States Senate, I was able to bring people together. In my own party, in both parties, and sometimes working with the White House, Democrats or Republicans. Now, you can't compromise principle. But Ronald Reagan used to say, if I get 90% of what I want, that might be a pretty good deal. And I'll come back and get the other 10% later. And sometimes that's the way it works. But I want to say this in addition. It's been my belief throughout my lifetime, in the good times and the bad times, and everybody is there at good times, and you've all had bad times, and some may have problems right now. But let me say again, we live in one America, the United States of America. Whether we're white or black, rich or poor, employed or unemployed, disabled or able-bodied, urban or suburban, this is one America. And as long as we understand it's one America, we're going to move ahead in America. And we're going to be a greater nation than we are today. And I put my career on the line because I think America's future's on the line. That's how important it is. And I knew that many people and many in this audience, had Bob Dole played it safe, had Bob Dole said, well, I'll just pass off the leadership to somebody else, then in case I lose, I'll always have it to come back to. Well, that's why Americans don't trust those of us in politics. We're always playing it safe. We never give up anything. So I decided to roll the dice, give it up, and go out and listen to America and talk to America and see what America's all about. Now, I'm not anti-government, but we can make our government smaller. We can make it more democratic. We can make it less intrusive. We can rein it in. We can eliminate, in part, some of the departments. We can reconnect this big, big government of ours with values in Kentucky and Kansas and all across America. It's gotten too big and too pervasive and interferes with our lives and our business far too often. And we will do that in a Dole administration, not in a Clinton administration.
Live coverage of Bob Dole's visit to Louisville here on Talk 790 WWKY.
And I was pleased that after my resignation was effective, President Clinton called me to thank me for my years of service. And so I intend to do the same on November 5 when I defeat Bill Clinton.
Bob Dole repeating some of the same themes yesterday in his speech
Thank him
in Kansas,
for his years of service.
in Louisville.
Now, 4 years ago, it's been a long time, all those promises that Clinton made. Another reason you ought to vote for me, so I can keep the promises he made to you in 1992. He promised you a balanced budget. Have you seen it? No. He promised you welfare reform. He vetoed it twice. He promised you a middle-class tax cut and gave you the largest tax increase in the history of America. I said that one day on the Senate floor, and Senator Moynihan, a Democrat, said, no, the largest tax increase in the history of the world. So I modified it. But like everywhere he went 4 years ago, there's nothing he wouldn't promise, and he's doing it again today. We stopped giving out advance copies of our speech because he'll get a hold of them and he'll give that speech. And I don't like to write a new speech every day. My staff keeps saying, give the same one every day. I said, well, I can't do that, because he'll catch on to it. You got to be flexible. You got to be a broken field runner. Because his convictions about like that tape in Mission Impossible to destruction in about 5 seconds. And when I'm for this, he's, oh, I'm for that too. And when I'm for that, oh, I'm for that too. So all he needs is get a great big Me Too sign and stand next to Bob Dole, and we'll take America forward. Now, the campaign really hadn't started. This is sort of a nonpartisan speech today. But it will start. And I want to remind you some of the tough language that Bill Clinton used when he came here 4 years ago and attacked President Bush. And this is what he said. He's talking about President Bush. This guy wants you to trust him, and he's got an administration where the FBI is investigating the Justice Department and the Justice Department is investigating the FBI. They don't have any time for criminals anymore, Clinton said. And he went on, and I quote, this is a guy who used 3 highly paid political cronies. You paid for them with your hard-earned tax dollars to break all the State Department rules, to rifle around in their files looking for some dirt on my passport files. Now, that's what he was saying in Louisville about 4 years ago. And now we know what kind of administration he has led. One that goes looking for FBI files on people who served Republican presidents. That's the kind of administration we have. But of course they say it was they make more innocent mistakes in this outfit than anybody I've ever known. If we'd made this many mistakes in World War II, we wouldn't be here today. And I believe America deserves better, and I'm better. And we're going to get a better president come November 5, 1996. And as Ann pointed out, don't take my word for it. And I love and respect my friends in the Senate, Democrats and Republicans. We don't agree sometimes or often. But we know about each other as men and women. And we can respect each other whether we're Democrats or Republicans. My parents were Democrats. They're the greatest people I ever knew. After I got elected a few times, they came over, but it's not. So this election is about America. It's about the future. When President Clinton comes to Kentucky, he'll mention children in a 10-minute speech 45 times. But he won't say he's for a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution, which is going to protect children in the next century. Oh, he's against that. I'm against that. He'll tell you he's for tax cuts for families with children, but he vetoed it twice. He'll tell you he's for welfare reform to help young people on welfare regain their dignity and their self-esteem, but he's vetoed it twice. And I would say to you, Mr. President, with all these vetoes, I've only got one thing that comes to mind. we're going to veto you on November 5, 1996. Thank you.
A big response from the Louisville crowd here today from Bob Dole. His
So I would
suggestion
just
that
conclude
the public will
this
veto
statement.
President Clinton.
I really need your help. Kentucky's one of those critical battleground states. And if Bob Dole wins Kentucky, I'll probably be the President of the United States. It's about like winning the Derby. And I'm going to win the Derby. It's called the Presidential Derby. And the other horse is a little slicker, but I'm steady. And what you see in Bob Dole is what you get. You get it today, tomorrow, next month, and next year. You don't have to reinvent me at election times. Oh, we got to change it because we can't elect this guy. Let's change it. Let's have him for all these things that Clinton says he's for now. But you also told the Washington Post, I better tell you this. I know a lot of you don't read it on a daily basis. I don't either, and I live in Washington. But in any event, he told the Washington Post that his next term is going to be pretty much like this one. And that's what we're afraid of. That's what we're afraid of. Remember what he tried to do to health care in America? He wanted the government to run health care. And he'll try it again. And he'll think of some new tax he ought to raise in 1997 if he's reelected. And he'll find some liberal judge that he can appoint for life that affects your family and your business. In my administration, only conservative judges need apply. The liberals can stay at home. We're not going to appoint liberals to the Court of the United States. So, I must say I never dreamed I'd be standing right here making a speech in Kentucky. I must be running for something. And I need your help, as I started to say. And Elizabeth needs your help, and Ann needs your help. We're going to pick up seats in the House, we're going to pick up seats in the Senate, and then we're going to get the job done by electing a Republican president who will sign the bills and not veto the bills and move America forward. And I would say to all my friends in the audience, pro-life or pro-choice, the worst thing that President Clinton did has been joined the extremists and vetoed the partial birth abortion ban. That's the worst thing that he's done since he's been President of the United States, as far as I'm concerned. So let's do this together. And I want to get our chairman up here and our committee man and our national committee woman. I know they're out there. Come on up here. This is a team effort. We're all part of the Women's Republican Chairman Federation chairman here. And Bobby, get up here. You're running, Bobby. Anybody running for office out there, come on up here. Yeah, come on up.
It's an inclusive Republican Party with Bob Dole on the podium today. You can hear the Dixieland Band warming up as well. Everyone kind of shaking Bob Dole's hand now. The different candidates for statewide and county office.
Come on. Join the crusade. Join the crusade. Let's do it for America. Let's do it for America. Let's do it for Let's do it for Kentucky. Thank you very much, and God bless America.
Bob Dole, a big response from the crowd here. He's shaking the hands of different people on the stage itself. Rebecca Jackson, the county clerk. Elizabeth Dole, of course, his wife up there. Ann Northup, meeting the different people on this podium as well. Ron Krim, the former chairman of the Republican Party here in Jefferson County, as well as the current chairman, Bill Stone. And many of the candidates who are running for both statewide and citywide, countywide office here in Jefferson County and throughout Kentucky. You're listening to complete coverage of Bob Dole's visit to Jefferson Square here in Louisville. He flew in this morning from the airport, went to the Belle of Louisville cruise for a fundraiser for the Republican National Committee that took him to the downtown here. Buses took him to Jefferson Square about 1 o'clock, and about a 20-minute long speech, or maybe 15-minute long speech to the faithful gathered here at Jefferson Square. A large contingent of both national and local media, cameras from all of the major networks are here this afternoon. Bob Dole still on the stage. He's posing for a photograph with members of the local party, Republican Party, kind of taking their time. Also a big group picture as well. So I think that overall has to be a very...
This is a winning ticket right up here.
Bob Dole saying it's a winning ticket on the podium today. On the risers, Ron Krim giving 2 big thumbs up. Earlier in his speech today, Bob Dole glancing catty-corner from his stance. The actual podium itself is facing west from the courthouse, from Jefferson Square, but at a slight diagonal, so he was able to look over to his right, over to City Hall here in Louisville, where, of course, Mayor Jerry Abramson had written rather a scathing open letter to Senator Dole yesterday, saying he would be better to go back to Washington and finish what Abramson called unfinished business, instead of coming here to Louisville and asking for support from the people here in Jefferson County and Kentucky. Bob Dole, a rather scornful glance over to City Hall, and so someone must have told him where City Hall was here today in Louisville. But a good crowd showing up for the rally here in downtown Louisville, Jefferson Square. You've been listening to complete exclusive coverage. Take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll see if we can get a couple of the other party faithful on with us here, as well as maybe a couple of your phone calls before we wrap it up and send it back to G. Gordon Liddy. The number to call if you want to comment on Bob Dole's speech today is 571-9959. That's 571-9959. Also a toll-free call for our Cellular One subscribers at star 790. What do you think about Bob Dole's visit to Louisville today? How about his speech? That and more when we continue exclusive complete coverage of Bob Dole's visit to Louisville on Talk 790 WWKY.
Talk 790 Wacky WWKY.
EnviroPet and the Imes Company are teaming up to bring you Louisville's very first pet talk show. It's EnviroPet and the Imes Company's Creature Feature, Sunday mornings at 9 on Talk 790 WWKY. EnviroPet, Louisville's environmentally friendly pet center, is proud to announce that a portion of the profits from the sale of their pet foods, including Imes, will be donated to the Kentucky Humane Society. Now you can feed a homeless pet simply by feeding your own. EnviroPet is Louisville's only Kentucky Humane Society satellite adoption center for dogs and cats. And at EnviroPet, they don't take animals from the wild. All their animals were bred to be pets. This week at EnviroPet, save $3 on your purchase of a 40-pound bag of any Imes products, including Imes Puppy and Imes Chunks. EnviroPet and the Imes Company, your pet food specialists. Stop in EnviroPet today at 4121 Shelbyville Road, across from Circuit City, or call 899-PETS.
You Bob in Louisville, you're on the air, go ahead. Hi, my name is Bob, and I love signs. In fact, I think the problem with the world today is it's just too vague, too unclear. There isn't enough instruction. There's just not enough signs. If you feel the same way I do, then sign up now for bigger signs, smaller signs, signs for your car, redwood signs and banners, big banners. Oh, don't worry about not knowing how to make signs, because I have a sign company. Sign Crafters is the name. We make signs, and we make them in one day. So come by Sign Crafters in the Stony Brook Shopping Center on Taylorsville Road at the Hurstbourne intersection, 491-7463. Even if you don't think you need a sign, we think you do.
Thanks, Bob, but today's topic was horoscopes and you.
Oh. Well then, what's your sign?
Okay, men, listen up. And ladies, you and the kids, come a little closer so you can hear this too. It's a Father's Day special sports card and comic book show at Bashford Manor Mall Saturday and Sunday, June 15th and 16th. Dealers from 5 states will display a vast assortment of sport and comic collectibles during all mall hours. Plus, your dad can win one of 30 prize packages by registering at each booth. Have Dad sign up, or you can enter his name to possibly win an easy chair. A 19-inch color TV. Oh, shopping sprees. Oh, dinners for 2 and more. All you have to do is take Dad to the Father's Day special sports card and comic book show at Bashford Manor Mall, June 15th and 16th. Or you can buy him a tie. For all occasions, shop Bashford Manor Mall, especially for Dad. Located at Bardstown Road and Hikes Lane, 1 mile south of Waterson at exit 16.
We're back with the all-new 1997 Mercury Tracer sedan, the small car that thinks big. With me is Wally the human slingshot, who's about to launch himself 4 times around the earth and land in a giant catcher's mitt. And there he goes. You know, under normal driving conditions with routine fluid and filter changes, the Tracer can go 100,000 miles or 4 times around the earth before its first tune-up. And here he comes. So if the Mercury Tracer can do this, imagine how many times you can shoot to the store and back.
Imagine yourself in a Mercury.
This is Gary Burbank. Listen to Stu Williams. He's on in the morning on Talk 790 WWKY.
It's 126 at Talk 790 WWKY as we continue with the exclusive coverage of Bob Dole's visit to Louisville. We just heard Bob Dole giving his speech. We're taking your phone calls as well at 571-9959 and for Cellular One users star 790. Now let's go back live with Joe Arnold, who's downtown. Joe?
Thank you very much, Alan. And you can hear some of the Dixieland people. Sounds like they're singing now, which was a big surprise. Hopefully you can hear my voice over that, Alan. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you pretty good.
Okay.
And Joe, we do have a call lined up if you'd like to go to that. Or
Okay, well, yeah, 1 second here. Let's kind of recap, and then we'll go to the call. Bob Dole, of course, his appearance today in Louisville, Jefferson Square downtown. Pretty much a repeat of his speech yesterday as he kicked off his new campaign as Citizen Dole. I should mention that the Bob Dole is still here in Jefferson Square. Despite the fact that the speech is over, he has actually stepped on off of the podium, kind of pressing the flesh, if you will, kind of meeting different people and shaking their hands. The national media literally on each other's shoulders trying to get a good shot of some of the politicking going on down there. So, but his speech today, for the most part, went back and forth. It was, at one point, he was kind of preaching togetherness, saying that we're one America together, and then, of course, very divisive and very partisan in his approach to the Democrats and to President Clinton. And obviously, this is the beginning of the presidential campaign. And the presumptive Republican presidential candidate, Bob Dole, here in Louisville today kicks it all off. All right, Alan, let's go ahead and hit the phones now at 571-9959. That's 571-9959. Who's first, Alan?
Okay, Joe, joining us is Jim from Louisville. Jim, you're on Talk 790 WWKY.
How you doing?
Pretty good.
Very good, Jim.
I've got a question about the taxes. I hope it's not too far off the subject line. When they both mentioned, the president and Mr. Dole, about cutting taxes for small business or for business in general, I never hear them mention anything about the fees that are also involved, in small business today, disguised. Instead of saying it's a tax, they call it a fee. And the workman's comp, how that's just going out of control, where the employee has more rights than the person that's employing them. I'm wondering if, when they say, they're going to help small business, if they understand that part of the small business, or if they're even aware of that.
You would think that they would be aware of it. However, as far as the speech today or the presidential themes themselves, I have not heard Bob Dole's specific approach to what you're talking about, Jim. I do know that Bob Dole is sort of a latecomer to not necessarily tax reform, but he's not necessarily all that comfortable in the past, at least, with traditional Republican tax policy as far as supply side or something like that. He is someone, however, who, if you to be objective about it, he was somebody who helped to pass some of the biggest tax increases in the 1970s and 80s in the Senate. In fact, Newt Gingrich at one point called him the tax collector for the welfare state. What his approach to what you're talking about now as far as small businesses, I don't know. Although I would think that just by nature or nurture, if you will, as far as the politics are concerned, that Bob Dole would be more in line with what you're talking about than the president is.
Well, I hope that's the case, because I plan on following the Republican Party, and hopefully they'll help us out with the taxes. I appreciate you listening to my call.
Thank you very much, Jim. We appreciate your phone call. Take it easy. 571-9959. It's 571-9959, the number to call. Our star 790, a toll-free call for our Cellular One subscribers. Bob Dole here today. Once again, still shaking the hands of people at Jefferson Square. By the way, if you're wondering where the people are standing, there usually is a fountain, which is spewing water at this point. They've covered the actual spigots, if you will, where the fountain usually brings the water up right across the street from the courthouse here in downtown Louisville off Jefferson Street. And the people actually are standing where the water usually is in the middle of the fountain, as well as throughout the rest of the park. For the most part, the crowd is concentrated now in the fountain area where Bob Dole, I can see him now directly across from me. I don't think I could exactly spit on him, Alan, but it'd be a pretty good shot. But he's...
No, I'm not going to... Okay.
No, there is I see some of the interesting signs down here. One, more of the veterans approach. Thanks for all of your years of service. Another one said Generation Xers for Dole. So... everywhere from veterans to the 20-year-olds supposedly out here in support of Bob Dole, Jefferson Square today in Louisville. A pretty good turnout, and once again, he's still shaking hands, and for the most part, he doesn't have to really catch a flight exactly on a certain amount of time, although he is due in Baton Rouge, Louisiana this afternoon and tonight for more campaign stops.
Joe, if you had to guess, how many people would you say attended?
Well, I would say a couple hundred. I don't think it was anything too substantial. Although I will say, Alan, that people were forced to. The park itself here was packed. It was jam-packed. There was no more room for any people here.
Right.
So people gathered across the street. If you're familiar with where the King Louis statue is on the courthouse grounds, people are gathered on the other side of the street in front of that statue all the way down Jefferson Street itself, as well as some people gathered on the other side of the park over on Liberty and also on the other side next to 6th Street. Of course, 6th, for the most part, remained open throughout the speech today, so traffic, you might have been able to hear it go by. You also heard at 1 o'clock at top of the hour there, you heard the bell chime to mark the hour, and Bob Dole, in fact, looked up there to see what the sound was and realized it was 1 o'clock. It was time for him to speak. But a good turnout today here at Jefferson Square in downtown Louisville. Bob Dole once again sounding. If you heard, I don't know if you heard any of the speech yesterday, Alan, when he was speaking in Kansas and pretty much launching his campaign for president as a citizen, a private citizen, as opposed to a member of Congress, since he resigned that seat on Tuesday.
Right.
But many of the same things he said yesterday is what he said here today. Particularly some of the. I think, as I was saying before, the reason that Kentucky is so important is because it is a very good gauge of what the rest of the country, how they will react to some of the themes that he sounds in these speeches. So it's a testing ground as much as anything else. And I think he was trying out some of the same lines today, if you will, from a political pundit point of view once again, to see how they would read. And some of the biggest ones that got a big response were the ones that, for the most part, said he's going to send President Clinton home and out of the White House in November.
Okay, Joe, we're going to go back to the phones now, and let's talk with Steve from Louisville. Steve, you're on Talk 790 WWKY. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Glad you guys are covering the event today.
Thank you very much.
I was lucky enough to be selected to drive one of the vans to carry some of the staffers and cameramen around. So we're down here at the event.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It was great to watch the plane come in out of a blue sky, a white plane that said Dole for President 96, and we're one of the first cities to have it land where it's been renamed Citizenship instead of Leadership.
Used to be called Leadership, and then once Bob Dole resigned his seat in the Senate, they renamed it Citizenship, and they were lucky to find two different words that ended with the word ship.
That's true. Interesting event. I tell you, there's people packed all over the streets just like they've been reporting, and I even saw our Democrat county judge standing on the steps listening in, so maybe we have some hope there.
You never know. So no.
Great show.
Thank you very much, Steve. Now, where are you? Are you on Jefferson Street?
We're on Jefferson Street, right on Jefferson Square, looking at the courthouse, and Senator Dole is still walking around a little bit in the crowd, shaking hands, talking to people, and been doing that for quite some time. So
well, he's right in between you and I. Then I think I can see your van actually across the way here.
A bright red van?
I got you. I'm waving to you.
Where are you?
I'm waving to you.
He's waving back.
Look directly across the podium, and I'm waving to you, Steve. Now you're open. You just open your door.
Yes.
And now you have a tie on and a white shirt. Hello.
Yeah.
Okay. Never mind.
Yeah, this is great.
Okay. Well, thanks for calling in. We appreciate
it. This is a great show. I was glad to see several of the stations in Louisville covering this event more in its entirety than they had in the past.
I appreciate that, Steve. Take it easy.
All right.
Thanks for calling. We're like old home week here, Alan. I think I go ahead and try to grab him. I can see where he is still right now, but he can't see where I am. He's in a bright red van. And once again, anytime you get the presidential campaign stop in town here, a very large contingent. Not only are there a contingent of staffers, but as you probably know, there also are people. The press itself is ferried here and there by the campaign staff. In fact, if people want to, if the press wanted to, the campaign even allowed them a seat on the plane, for instance, from Louisville to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I myself didn't take them up on that offer because I didn't have the way to get back from Louisiana back up here to Louisville. But it is a pretty exciting time. Every 4 years, there is an aura itself to campaigning, although there is something about the pleasure of incumbency that Senator Dole is not enjoying anymore. When President Clinton comes into a room or when he comes into an area itself, there is a certain aura or a certain feeling to it just because he is the President of the United States. And in this case, Bob Dole is a candidate and one of many people who have run for the office, but then again, there are many people who have run for it who have never actually been able to claim the office itself. It still is an impressive event, at the same time, it would be awfully more impressive, especially for the Republicans here, if Bob Dole came back after November and he was the new president of the United States.
Well, Joe, let's go back to the phones now. Jerry, you're on Talk 790 WWKY. Good afternoon.
Hi, how you doing?
Pretty good.
Very well.
Listen, wanted to just comment and say, am I the only person out here that wants responding to the mayor's, I guess the mayor's response to having Bob Dole come and visit? Do you recall what he said yesterday, the day before, about his visit?
Well, what Mayor Jerry Abramson said, and we actually spoke earlier with Bill Stone, who is the chairman of the Jefferson County Republican Party, in reference to that. And Bill Stone said he's a friend of the mayor's, but the mayor, from what I understand, and I have to be honest with you, I have not read the entire text of his open letter to Senator Bob Dole, but in essence, what the mayor said was basically that Bob Dole would be better serving the citizens of Louisville if he went back to Washington and finished what the mayor calls unfinished business as far as helping out cities. And didn't come here to Louisville because Louisville seems to be doing just fine under the leadership of President Clinton.
Can you think of any less gracious, less classy, that's the most classless thing I think I've ever heard a mayor anywhere respond to somebody of Bob Dole, or a politician of his magnitude, who served in his capacity for 30-some-odd years, now a candidate for president. Like him or not, he's coming to visit our city and our community, and I think the reception that he did not receive from the mayor really and truly is a slap in the face to everybody in this community.
Well, as far as presidential politics are concerned, I don't think there's ever, I personally am never surprised by any acrimonious response, by any kind of partisanship. The presidential the race basically has already begun. I don't know when it actually began. I guess when Bob Dole pretty much sewed up the nomination. I personally am not surprised by it. I think that, Bill Stone, who is once again the chairman of the local Republican Party, said that he was very disappointed, and he agreed with you that it was a classless act. And when he mentioned that to the people that were gathered here in Jefferson Square today, they pretty much responded the same way. In fact, I don't know if you heard me or not. I mentioned that Bob Dole kind of glanced over to City Hall when he was up on the podium with kind of a scornful look in response to possibly what the mayor had to say to him, welcoming him or unwelcoming him to Louisville.
I think the mayor would probably, the mayor's good at telling Bob Dole how he could better serve, Louisville or the nation. I think that the mayor would probably better serve this community if he was a little bit more of a gracious host to somebody like Bob Dole. Like him or not, the man deserves a whole lot more respect than he got, and he certainly was insulted, I think, by the mayor's comments. And I think that the mayor has done quite a disservice to the people of this community, who are very friendly, a sight more friendly than that, and very cordial individuals. And to give him the kind of unwelcome welcome before he even got here that he got, I think is something that the mayor ought to be ashamed of.
Well,
I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed for him, and I'm embarrassed for this community who has him as a representative if that's his attitude.
Well, if you feel that strongly about it, I'm curious perhaps if maybe if the mayor or the Democratic Party locally will suffer a backlash as a result of a classless act. Pardon me there, I don't know if you heard that or not over the airwaves. Yeah. That was a breakup of our signal here, but perhaps there will be a backlash in regards to the mayor's letter yesterday.
Well, like it or not, it speaks for itself. And the man, if he had any class and dignity at all, he really, really would have welcomed him in a gracious fashion. You know what, it's taken 3-4 hours out of his day, 5-6 hours out of his day. When was the last time that the mayor wasted that kind of time doing something that didn't serve the people of this city? It probably happens a lot more often than it does in Bob Dole's average day.
Right. Thanks for your phone call. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
Take it easy. And then a very interesting response, and that was something that some of the Republican leaders here were talking about today, Alan, was Mayor Jerry Abramson's open letter to Senator Bob Dole yesterday, saying that first of all, and then one thing, too, you have to remember that Mayor Jerry Abramson, a former president of the American League of Cities, National League of Cities, and so he is really one of the top Democratic mayors, in the country. Yeah. As far as reputation, obviously serving his third term, and so he, for the most part, I think, felt like he needed to step up for the party here and be able to say, well, despite the fact that Bob Dole is here, Louisville remains solidly Democratic. At least he hopes so. Now we'll see how that works out.
Well, I think, like you said, I don't know when the presidential race officially begins, but I think it has begun, and Mayor Jerry has said, I'm drawing the line, and here it is.
It's interesting looking over the landscape here again here to see what's going on. Bob Dole still shaking hands with the people. He is not able to get through this incredible crush of people who are surrounding him, including the national media, the cameras for all the major networks, as well as photographers as well. In the meantime, his wife, Elizabeth Dole, has made her way down Jefferson Street itself, on my side of it, and is shaking hands with all the people who are gathered among the different barricades and things of that nature. So she is going through one by one and shaking everyone's hand while her husband is taking care of the other end, if you will, of the area. I can see now former Jefferson County Republican Chairman Ron Krim also making his way around there. Rebecca Jackson talking to some of the reporters, who's the county clerk, and a very, I would say, despite the fact that we're literally in the shadow of City Hall here, it seems that the mayor's letter has not put a damper on people's spirits who are supporting Bob Dole or the Republican Party here in Louisville and the entire Jefferson County area. You're listening to complete coverage of Bob Dole's visit to Louisville. His visit today to Jefferson Square. He arrived this morning, flew in about 11 o'clock, and took part in a cruise on the Belle of Louisville that was actually a fundraiser for the Republican National Committee. Appeared here after about a half an hour of speeches from local Republican politicians. Bob Dole took the stage about 1 o'clock and gave about a 15-minute address to people gathered here downtown. He is still here. He is still shaking hands to people in downtown Louisville. It seems like, Alan, I guess, maybe he thinks that if he can shake every single person's hand, maybe each one of those person's hands will eventually translate into a vote. I don't know.
I guess that he must be thinking he had, like you said, he has no set schedule to leave Louisville, so I guess he's trying to reach the masses most as he can here in Louisville.
Right. Well, people are still, I mean, one thing about it, though, too, there is, like I said, a certain aura to presidential campaigning.
Right.
Despite the fact that they really can't even see him right now. There are still a pack of people, maybe 2 or 3 deep, on the other side of the street, on Jefferson Street, who are just trying to grab a glimpse of the candidate, Bob Dole. He is going to be entering one of the vehicles there on Jefferson Street to be taking off in I would imagine, a couple of minutes here, although a very, very slow walk from the podium. He literally is only maybe 10 feet from the podium right now, where he started out shaking hands about, a good 15 minutes ago after his speech concluded. So we're talking about an interesting turnout today for Bob Dole, and many people obviously supporting him, despite the fact that we weren't sure, after the mayor's comment yesterday, what kind of response that he would get. Obviously, a political event like this is going to draw more of the supporters than the detractors, but Bob Dole has to be pretty happy with the turnout he has in Louisville today.
Well, Joe, let me ask you this before we go to break. What did you expect out of Bob Dole to say in the speech? And after hearing it, did he say those things? And was he a bit conservative? Or what do you think about his speech today?
I think that Bob Dole is trying to sound some conservative themes. I think that in the past he was more of a moderate Republican, somebody, in fact, that was a little bit too liberal for some Republicans. And I think that he has mentioned some buzzwords along the way to try to make sure that the right wing of the Republican Party is solidly entrenched behind him, because it's not only, sometimes people might think, well, no real conservative is going to vote for Bill Clinton. That may be what the going wisdom. It's not who they're going to vote for sometimes, but it might be who they're going to work for, who they're going to stand behind along the way. You might be able to hear the applause behind me. Elizabeth Dole is making her way all the way across Jefferson Street now to go to the other side of Jefferson Street. She's right at the corner right now of under the 6th Street sign, or 6th Avenue sign of Jefferson Street. So she is going to be shaking people's hands over there. And once again, you need to not only have the support of people as far as, who are they going to vote for, you also need to be able to have a fervent party machine working behind you, and that's something which Bob Dole hopes to have now. Bob Dole actually is, believe it or not, Alan, I thought he was getting back into the car. He is moving closer to my position here. I don't know if I'll be able to get close enough or not at all to at least say hello to him, but he is...
See if you want to say a few words.
About 15 feet from me right now, and the national media of following him around. Should be interesting to see if I can get over there or not. But I'm sort of a cumbersome approach. You can kind of hear the applause here now as Bob Dole is approaching our area.
Maybe he could say a legal ID.
Is it time for one?
No, not yet.
You're listening to exclusive complete coverage of Bob Dole's visit to Louisville's Jefferson Square. I'm Joe Arnold on Talk 790 WWKY Louisville. Bob Dole actually now not actually coming all the way over here. He's coming closer to the cars on Jefferson Street itself. But as far as what I expected him to say today, I for the most part, if you heard once again, as I said, his speech yesterday when he first kicked off his campaign as a private citizen. He is saying the same things today as he was, for the most part, saying yesterday, so not too many surprises there. So let's take a break, see if we can get a hold of Bob Dole here, and we'll be back with more coverage of Bob Dole's visit to Louisville on Talk 790 WWKY.
Talk 790 WWKY.
This is meteorologist Roy Gosshorn with the exclusive AccuWeather 3-day forecast and Talk 790 WWKY, brought to you by John Deere. A John Deere lawn and garden tractor makes the perfect Father's Day gift this year. See Shelby Supply in Shelbyville for the gift that Dad will never, ever forget. Weather systems now are moving rather rapidly. Maybe a thunderstorm early this afternoon, but a weak cold front will approach from the northwest and set us up for a beautiful weekend. Maybe a thunderstorm, though, before that all happens. It'll be sunny and warm and humid this afternoon with a high of 88. A thunderstorm will cross parts of the area late this afternoon or tonight. Otherwise, a partly cloudy overnight here in Louisville, low 68. Now tomorrow, warm and humid. Slight chance of a thunderstorm tomorrow afternoon, high 88. But Saturday looks super. Sunny and delightful with a high of 88 degrees. This is meteorologist Roy Gosshorn with the exclusive AccuWeather 3-day forecast on Talk 790 WWKY.
Direct mail pieces, envelopes, letterheads, newsletters, and sales pamphlets. They print for your successful image in today's business world. Whether one-color or four-color process, B&K can serve your needs. Quality, fast service, competitive prices, B&K. All three to improve your bottom line. B&K offers in-house desktop publishing and typesetting. Your rough ideas and charts will look like they came from some big publishing firm. B&K specializes in folded and collated booklets and newsletters. Offers custom address lists and mailing, plus free pickup and delivery in the Louisville area. Their St. Matthew's shop in the Shelbyville Road Plaza is open Saturdays 10 to 2. B&K Instant Printing with 3 locations. Call 581-1776 for the one nearest you.
Do you need to sell your home fast? Are you being transferred out of town, or have you fallen behind on your payments? LDG Development can help. Last year alone, LDG Development purchased over 100 homes. So for whatever reason you may need to sell your home quickly, LDG can help. They'll pay all cash for your home. That's real cash. No creative financing or lease plans. Call today, 394-0LDG, 394-0534. LDG Development will protect realtors. Remember, cash paid by LDG Development. Call today, 394-0534.
Are you a landlord who dreads finding good new tenants? Every time somebody new moves into your rental property, it's a roll of the dice. Well, now the National Tenant Network can provide you with America's only comprehensive tenant performance reporting system. National Tenant Network gives you fraud detection, certain credit information, cash flow analysis, and identifies those who've damaged properties or created disturbances. They're part of a national network with 21 offices in 14 states. Before you hand over the keys, call National Tenant Network and find out how you can do it at no cost. 895-6811.
I'm not a kid anymore. I have responsibilities like a wife and kids. I need life insurance. I called Zurich Direct Insurance Agency for a free quote at 1-800-330-8151. $250,000 of term life insurance for just $20 a month. I saved 70%. Now I have money for more important things. For a free quote, call 1-800-330-8151. You can save up to 70% on life insurance with Super Select Term from Zurich Life Insurance Company of America.
And now this commercial message. The Canadian stock markets are red hot. In the past 2 years, companies like Diamond Fields and Bre-X Minerals have skyrocketed from under $5 to more than $100 per share. Jumping into this high-risk world of extremely speculative penny stocks, George Chalika's newsletter, Hot Stocks Review, continues to find winner after winner. Call 1-800-700-7811 to get your free copy of Hot Stocks Review. 1-800-700-7811. 1-800-700-7811.
This is John O'Connor, and I'm talking with Richard Boland of Boland Maloney Lumber. Richard, as I drive through the neighborhoods these days, I'm seeing more imagination with the use of decks than I've ever seen before. All kinds of sizes and shapes. People seem to be building bigger and better decks.
They truly are, but the one basic ingredient you need is good treated lumber. Now, what Boland Maloney does through our supplier, Hoover Lumber, we put the material back in a kiln and dry it back down to 19%. When you put this lumber down, it's going to have uniform shrinkage.
And I guess the best part is the beautiful deck I put up now is going to be here for a while.
Yes, it is. And what we offer you with this KDAT, you can finish driving the last nail and immediately put a wood protector to ward off those sun rays that come down and do damage to the wood. Now, you can't do that without having our KDAT.
Is it any wonder people say build it best with Bole and Maloney Lumber?
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a wild ride. Talk 790 WWKY.
It's 1:51 at Talk 790 WWKY. Alan Florence here, Joe Arnold standing by downtown. This program note will be joining Dr. Laura Schlesinger at 2 o'clock. We wrap up the Bob Dole visit to Louisville. Joe?
Hello, Alan.
How are you doing?
Okay, thanks very much. I was talking just a few moments ago with County Clerk Rebecca Jackson, one of the local Republican leaders, and security is still pretty tight here at downtown Louisville. Despite that fact, both Bob Dole, I guess Bob Dole followed his wife's lead. Elizabeth Dole earlier made her way across Jefferson Street in front of the courthouse there, right in front of the King Louis statue at the corner of 6th and Jefferson, and sort of glad-handing the people. And little do we know that I guess Bob Dole has that sixth sense of where his wife is. And what do you know? Bob Dole also crosses the street and is trying to shake, I think, every person's hand who showed up for today's rally. He is making his way down. Right now, he is right at the base of the courthouse steps themselves. There at the statue of Thomas Jefferson, if you will. And the national media once again following him around as well. And so it's like I said, a very enthusiastic crowd today. And it seems as if most of them who wanted to come out and at least get a glimpse of Bob Dole got even more than they asked for, because they were able perhaps to shake his hand or to get up close and personal with the presumptive Republican presidential candidate.
Yeah, I think, like you were saying, I think it's, if you're either for him or against him, just the fact that he's here, you get to meet him, and it's part of nostalgia. You can say that you met him, and if he wins, it makes it that much better.
It's interesting once again as well that, to think about why Bob Dole came to Kentucky, why this is part of this 6 or 7 state swing, his first 4 days after he officially resigns his seat from the U.S. Senate. Why to Kentucky, why to Louisville? And obviously because he thinks that, first of all, this is representative of the American populace, and secondly because he's trying to drum up some enthusiasm. And it seems to have worked today that Bob Dole has been able to drum up the enthusiasm among the local Republican politicians that you normally will see a boost not only in contributions and in monetary contributions to the party after an event like this, but you'll also see a boost in volunteerism. You'll see a boost in just a general fervor for the candidates locally themselves. And that actually in the long run will go just as far as the money will, because the money, what you're trying to do with money is buy that kind of fervor. You're trying to buy that kind of attention, or trying to buy the kind of resonance of themes that you're trying to get across. Well, it seems like Bob Dole did pretty well for himself on both counts today, raising money, first of all, for the Republican National Committee on the Belle of Louisville, glad-handing and kind of giving a lot of support to local Republican candidates, and finally being able to drum up a lot of support among the people who came out to hear him today. He is now, as I said, he went all the way down Jefferson Street, all the way down to the base of the courthouse steps, and is now about ready to get into the vehicles to make his way out of Louisville. Earlier, Steve had called from that red van I mentioned before, carrying some of the campaign staff members. Well, if Steve's listening right now, Bob Dole is standing right next to him. Bob Dole is in front of those 3 campaign staffing vans, and he literally is meeting every single person, it seems, that has come out to see it. Now, many of the people who were gathered here in the square earlier have made their way out, and the people who were I guess, deliberate enough to stick around to be able to want to see him that long, got lucky enough to be able to shake his hand or to see him up close and personal. But I would say an overall positive day for Bob Dole and the Republicans today. He is, once again, he just came back out. He is standing in the middle of Jefferson Street right now, and people are calling him over to the point where he's literally going back over one more time to the other side of Jefferson Street to shake a couple more hands, get a couple more pictures. And once again, if people remember this day, in November, then Bob Dole did his job today. If people remember, Bob Dole made a trip to Louisville, and he made that extra effort, took the extra 30 seconds, whatever it took, to say hello to me or to stop, and he heard my voice to be able to wave and say hi. It's amazing how something which is seemingly so insignificant can make a difference once voting time comes in November.
Of course, it doesn't hurt to carry the Louisville Slugger around with you either.
Well, that's right. Actually, I didn't see that. After Ann Northup, Alan's referring, of course, to Representative Ann Northup presented Senator Dole with a Louisville Slugger baseball bat, which he looked at, he read the inscription, handed it off to his wife, and then I didn't see it from that point on, but I imagine that is one of many gifts that he receives on the campaign trail as he goes along. I don't know if he has to report that on the actual list of from the Federal Election Commission as far as what gifts he receives along the way. You have to be kind of careful about that.
Well, he'll probably toss it through the mayor's window or something, maybe if he gets close enough. I'm kidding.
We'll see how that works out.
Yeah.
It's an interesting turnout here today, as you know, from the mayor. The mayor, of course, making some disparaging comments about the Senator Dole's visit to Louisville today. And before we wrap it up here today, I want to thank. I asked Ron Krim earlier today when I saw him before the actual appearance if he could stop by and say hello to us. And actually, we're about ready to wrap up our coverage here, Mr. Krim, the former chairman of the Jefferson County Republican Party. How do you think today's event went?
Outstanding, just outstanding. Great crowd, great enthusiasm. The Doles just worked the crowd. It was beautiful.
So you were up there on the podium. You were able to see what kind of a crowd there was. Were you surprised? Were you impressed with the size of the crowd today?
I was very impressed with the crowd. I mean, the whole court here was filled. Across the street was packed. They were hanging out of the courthouse, and I think it was great. And as he leaves, people seem to be enthusiastic that he was here, and his wife was so gracious.
And speaking of his wife, both Elizabeth and Bob Dole now in their car, and they're about a half a block away from us now, going down Jefferson Avenue. Thank you. I forgot what street we were on all of a sudden. And it's 6th and Jefferson right now. And so finally the event, I guess you can say, is officially over. But you're excited about how it all turned out.
Absolutely. And I'm looking forward as a delegate going to California. And for an old political junkie like me, it's like the icing on the cake.
Now, you mentioned that. As far as the California convention going on later on, what do you think Bob Dole will bring to that convention, in the sense that many people don't embrace Bob Dole from the traditional conservative right-wing part of the party? Do you think he's going to be able to drum up enough support among that element?
I think he showed it here today. If you look at this morning's paper, what it said was going to happen never happened. And I think it shows that thinking people realize that he is going to be able to bring the party together, and we'll move forward that way.
Ron Krim, we appreciate you stopping by and saying hello to us today. Good luck in the fall.
Thank you.
We'll see you. That's Ron Krim, the former chairman of the Jefferson County Republican Party, making his way as well away from the area here. Once again, most of the people now are beginning to dissipate. As soon as they knew that Bob Dole and Elizabeth Dole had taken off in that car, they, for the most part, said, okay, the event is finally officially over. But lots of debris and things and campaign posters and things lying around, but overall a positive day for the Jefferson County Republican Party and for the Republican Party here in Kentucky as a whole.
Okay, Joe. Well, I guess we'll see you back here in the studio, and you'll have a full report, full details of Bob Dole's visit to Louisville.
Thank you very much. Once again, we've been very happy and excited to be able to bring you really the most complete exclusive coverage of Bob Dole's visit to Louisville. We started at noon today, listened to the entire rally from downtown Louisville, part of what we always try to do here at Talk 790. And keep listening. We'll have excerpts from Bob Dole's speech coming up at 4 o'clock news. Dr. Laura is up next, then Gary Burbank. Alan, you and I will be there for Gary Burbank's show, and so we'll talk to everyone there. Reporting live from Jefferson Square in downtown Louisville, Bob Dole's visit to Louisville. I'm Joe Arnold, Talk 790 WWKY.
Mornings and afternoons, Airborne Aaron has traffic on Talk 790 WWKY.
Airborne Aaron Miller.
Well, thank you, Stu. We are still looking pretty good. There's no
On the way to and from work, Aaron Miller is on top of the latest traffic delay.
471 into the junction. There's two different stalled cars there, and that's causing some delays.
If there's a traffic emergency, Airborne Aaron can interrupt any time to inform you of a better way to get to or from work. If you want the most accurate traffic information, rely on Airborne Aaron Miller. Mornings and afternoons on Talk 790 WWKY.
This is Dr. Laura Schlesinger. Every afternoon, 2 till 4 on Talk 790 WWKY.
Says we can't do this on AM radio.
Do our job.
Here they go again. Talk 790. Wacky. WWKY. Louisville.
CBS News, I'm Ed Crane. There are growing signs that